Hello! Welcome to a very janky bonus stream. Uh, gonna be doing some cross-stitching today. Pardon the setup. It's a work in progress. This is something I've been sort of puttering with for a bit, and whoops, and I'm gonna bump this because this is not the best place for this. Apologies in advance, like I said, for the jankiness of the setup. It's quite a pile of stuff here. But it should be functional, and I should have enough space to stitch. I might need to sit down for putting your cereal bowl away just in time to see the image come up. Good timing. Just gonna orient myself here. I've got my mic on one boom arm. I've got my camera on another that's right in front of me, and I have a light so that it doesn't have a bunch of shadow on here from the camera and whatnot. I have a fan next to me I can turn on if it gets too warm with this light. I have this. My keyboard jammed way back here, my mouse here, and I got a Pokemon Elite Trainer box with my floss and scissors, so... I have my pattern up on the computer. Got myself tucked into a corner of my desk, so... Generations. That's the one I had handy. Apologies for any clonking noises as I adjust bits and bobs here. Also, let me know if any particular volumes are too loud, too soft, etc. We're utilizing the music setup that I wham-jangled a while ago. We are listening to some beans this morning. As it ends, I'll pick something else. I need my key as to what colors are what. I have the pattern printed and also up on my monitor. Hello, welcome on in. This is the section I'll be working on. I can try to get a thing for it up on the monitor at some point. Also, if anyone is interested, KDM, you're gonna have better access to a keyboard than I am at some point, but if anyone asks, !place gives the link to the subreddit with the info about what I am stitching. So, let's see here. I have all my floss together. I was waiting for my last couple colors, and I managed to find it. Well, look how well I prepared. I prepared some of the things. We're gonna start with some 208 dot. That was one of the ones I was waiting on to make sure I had the new one. These are not bobbinated because I didn't have enough. Some of them I already had. How many colors do I have? Total, I have 31. But I have them all now. There was just the last two I had been, that my local Michaels was out of. Also, this is the lovely, that's what I get for picking a piece with rainbow on it. It looked fun. My lovely stand here, I constructed. It is PVC pipe and, angles. So it's not flush up in the corner, so it's probably going to indent the canvas a little bit, but this is our finishing edge anyway, so it shouldn't be a huge deal. Again, apologies for, like, any camera wobbles as we go here. This is all very slapdash. Turns out it's a little bit different setting up on a desk that isn't really optimized for this. I know why I have this color. I put it in the box last night. $8.14. Probably near the bottom because I started at the top of the list. Nope, that's 150. Ha! There it is. 208 with the dot. Because they changed due to supply issues. They changed dye lots or setups for some of their colors. and they specify those with a dot on there, and we are specifically using that one for, oh my goodness. Thank you so much for the subscription. I appreciate it. Why is my music not continuing? Hang on. Oh, nope, it is. I appreciate it a ton. If you're new to the channel, I primarily do video games. I have been looking to do more art sort of stuff. I've just been working on getting my setup for it because different tech things with different types of art. I don't need that long of a piece. Also, I'll get it tangled. Sure. Now I just keep it all tidy, heavy air quote, until I can get it onto bobbins. I'll just put that up here. My desk looks like a desk of someone who does streaming and crafting. Also, I may sing along to music at some point. I am going to put these VODs. I'm gonna probably try to turn this into a semi-regular thing and do all of stitching online. So that we can do the, so the whole thing, I can do like a time-lapse sort of thing. And because it seems fun. And that'll also help me actually, like, sit down and work on it. The music will not be in the VODs. But it will play for us here. So I'm gonna do a loop start because I learned how to do that, and this corner is gonna be a pain to reach. Once I get it started, it shouldn't be too bad. So loop start is I took one piece of floss, folded it over. It's one of the reasons I like this stand, is I can flip it around and show you. I fed both of the ends through the eye of the needle. I hope some of this is kind of coming across. I'm trying to keep an eye on my preview. So there's a loop at the end, and then what you do is you feed it through and pull it taut. So you have a very, very clean starting point that's nice and secure. This works with any even number threads that you're using. I've got my fabric gridded with a waterproof pen, or water-soluble pen, the opposite of what I said. So then it's just a matter of... I have got to find a better place for this camera. I might take a break in a little bit and try to reorient it, because... There we go. So I tend to, again, let me know if my voice or anything starts fading as I rearrange and get moved around here. I can try to zoom the camera to... Today is going to be a lot of tech experimenting, so bear with me. But I tend to do some people will cross every stitch as they go. I'm the type that I will do kind of in a row across and then go back and cross all of them. It ends up being a little neater, uses a little bit less thread, but also it helps me keep track of where I am on the pattern, which is important. I'm gonna see if I can get any zoom on this camera here, one sec. This is also what happens when I only sort of know my camera or my software. Zoom! Hang on, let me... I found it. I'm gonna run out of desk. Focus. Let's see if I can autofocus that. I'm gonna be probably in about the same spot there. If I zoom back out a little bit, it should focus better. How's that? Hopefully that's not too blurry. Let's try that. I'll try to keep roughly in the same place. I'll try to do this with my offhand. My section looks at PDF name that's open. S14. Okay, this is not gonna work. I'm gonna zoom out so I can... my section looks like... that, but in color. I'm gonna throw on a BRB screen here. I'm gonna remove this camera mount. It is really in my way. Again, bear with me. There's only so much of this I can test in advance without actually stitching. Now I try to move my mount so that I don't mess with my light or my microphone or any of the other 7,000 moving pieces that are all crammed onto my desk. Yeah, my initial spots that I would have wanted to try to claim had been taken right away. I, for place, was doing a lot with the King Gizzard section, kind of near the top left edge of the canvas. And those sections got taken or assigned pretty quickly, which is fine. Then my other choice after that was a ghost section that was also taken, so I picked the one that had a rainbow in it, with some kind of dark side of the moon stuff. There's a way this works, and doesn't look too awful. We might be at a funky angle. Maybe the answer is funky angle. We down for some funky angle? This might work. Welcome to I experiment with being able to actually access my work. Except now I can pull it closer, but now I gotta... Hang on. I'll take a picture and tweet out my absolute mess of a workstation here. Oh, now there's a light poking me in the head. That's not ideal. I appreciate y'all's patience while I figure this out. Okay, this seems at least workable for the moment. I don't have a boom mount jabbing me in the shoulder, and I don't have a light poking me in the face. So those are bonuses. It's going to be hard to get a good pickup of the actual stitching with this sort of setup because we're stitching on 18 count, which is pretty small. Check my camera settings here. This isn't also the best camera for it. I've got a webcam. It's a good webcam, but it's a webcam, so it's not going to like focusing on this sort of thing. But I figured it would be fun to stream this to basically let people know, more people know about the project, get the word out on that. And also, that way if anyone is still working on their sections, I know I'm way behind on starting mine because I was trying to get all this tech figured out. But if people were still working on theirs, or if they're working on one of the secondary ones, they can hang out and stitch along. I even trimmed my nails so they look nice. Heh. I didn't paint them, but that's okay. There we go, that kind of shows up. Let me turn off the focus and see if it'll just baseline be okay. And it won't keep trying to autofocus as I move. Yeah! Working on your extra piece? Nice. I'm going to try very hard to have all my pieces cross consistently. It's going to be a challenge with working on this size fabric. Set back from it a little bit, but... And anyone who's hanging out who doesn't cross-stitch and has questions, ask away. If I don't know the answer, I promise not to guess if I wildly have no idea. Or I'll make it really, really obvious that it's a completely useless answer. I'm good at that. Once I'm not up in this corner, I think it's going to be better. Like, this edge is going to be a pain. I might have to re-kajigger this. But I think once I get even, like, 10 stitches in and get over to, like, here, it's going to be a lot more comfortable. I also have some different size pipes that fit with some of the different clip sizes. Because it's not glued or anything, it just slots together. So it's pretty flexible and interchangeable. I'll experiment with it, but not right now. All else fails, if it gets uncomfortable, I'll just make it a shorter stitching time today as we try this for the first time. I'm thinking I'll probably do this on Thursday mornings. Because it's a time I'm normally off of normal job, and I don't stream until the evening, so that gives me time to take care of stuff I need to take care of in the afternoon and get lunch and stuff. Oh yeah, self-care, very important. Okay, Slyn. We skipped that one. That's going to be a different color. A nice little corner chunk of purple to start us off. This is weird being able to use my primary monitor for, like, actual reference stuff. I'm so used to, video game streaming where I'm using my primary monitor to see the game and then having my OBS on the secondary. Someday I'll get a big giant desk and another monitor or two. Like I said before, we are listening to Beans. They are an Australian band. They are contemporary. They have a very kind of 70s sound to them. The further we get into this album, the more like Jethro Tull they sound. I'm a fan. This is their second album. I'll probably play their first one after this. If you know me in person, you know I'm a big fan of the band King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I'll play some of their stuff too at some point. Two of their members are in a different band called the Murlocs. The drummer for the Murlocs is the vocalist for this band. A lot of music is like that, where it's just weird connections to different people in different bands. And also, speaking of the Murlocs, they're coming to close enough for me to drive and go see them in November. And I am going to get some tickets because they are like $20 each. It's a little club. As long as I can get tickets, I'm going to be going on that. Don't know much about bands and such. No worries. Doing to learn. Well, I won't teach you very much that's going to be broadly useful. I am aware my taste in music is kind of esoteric. But I do enjoy a lot of different music, and I don't mind rambling about it, so spending the, I think, like, afternoon and a half and a couple pieces of software to figure out how to do the music track stream that plays on the channel and also directly to my speakers so I can hear it but doesn't save on the VOD was well worth the time and, like, $20 I spent on software. Sorry. You know, I could just bring this to me. It's mobile. I don't have to put my head all the way down to it. Haha. It's the benefit of not having it on a clamp, either. I have a clamp frame that's a hoop that I picked up that I thought would be good for streaming ages ago. It will, but I didn't want to have to move. The fabric was too big for it to comfortably fit in the hoop. And it was going to be difficult to move around and have it fold because there's a lot of fabric. So, that's why I looked into this, and I already had Q-snap frames, so I had the clips for it. Listen to a podcast called Combarded, where there is a character called Eddie Izzard and the Gizzard Wizard. Oh, you want to know about King Giz, then? That... I don't know if that's... I mean, Giz... Not sure if reference, but could be. 1, 2, 3, so I need to do another row of 2. If we want King Giz Knowledge Hour, we can have King Giz Knowledge Hour. They're very, very unique. And I follow them far too closely. They just released their 20th studio album because they're insane. They've only been around since 2011. They apparently have 2 or 3 more albums coming out before the end of the year and are also touring? I don't know, man. There's 6 of them, so I don't know if that helps or hinders the process. They also genre hop like no one's business. It's all rooted in psychedelic rock, but yeah, they're all over the place. One year they had a folksy, kind of classic folksy album come out, and then immediately followed by a thrash metal album. Right. I think this is the last of this purple for this corner. 1, 2, 3. Yep. All right, we're gonna finish the corner here, or this color here, and grab another one. A different color. To finish, may not be able to prop this and show, but I just run the needle under a few threads a couple times, pull it a bit taut, and then trim it. So I'm gonna pull this away for a sec. Because this is tiny thread and tiny needle, and I need to see what I'm doing. Nice Pokemon mat. Thank you. Play mats make good mouse pads / desk mats. I do not have the tidiest of cross-stitch backs. They're not the worst, but they're not the tidiest. I wasn't paying attention to where the stitches ended, so I ended up, oops, carrying it over a bit to get some nice stitches, but whatever. Look at that, we've done our first chunk of color. Chuck that off to the side. There's gonna be stuff everywhere while I do this. Also, I have what's called a needle minder. It's a magnet so that you can hold your needle. It's nice when you're in progress too, because it'll hold your thread where it is there. This is one I picked up because it was cute. I have a couple of enamel pins I'm going to turn into needle minders. I have the magnets and the glue. I just need to sit down and do it. All right. I only need 1 stitch of what goes here, so I'm going to skip that for the moment. Let's do... I've got, looks like about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A little under 10 stitches of another color, so we'll do that. Because that'll border here nicely. I like to kind of build outwards, because it helps me keep my counting. I mean, the gridding helps too, to just verify and count out and make sure everything, but if I do it kind of building outwards, it gives me makes it easier to count out, and is more likely that I get it correct. Alright, 343, I think I have that bobbinated. Let's see here. Into the box of embroidery floss. What did I say that was? 403. I was looking at the wrong one. It's 550. Funky Cat playmat. Yes, yes, I do know which one that is. That was the one that had the Amonkhet Magic the Gathering sort of thing with Oketra and the real Egyptian theme to it. Because we did a cat one and a dog one, and the cat one was obviously more adorable. I do like dogs. Don't get me wrong. All right, 550. That's the color I'm looking for. I'm easily distracted. Aha! 550. Ooh, I think I might have a little piece left from whatever I was stitching last with this color. That should be perfect for just a handful of stitches. I'm gonna quick grab some more music here, because that was a shorter album. Why don't I grab... Let's grab some King Giz since we were talking about them. Let's grab Omnium Gatherum. That's their latest album. It's a double EP, and it's a good sort of mix of genres. Some of it I super dig, some of it I'm not as big on, but that's okay. Okay, so let's clear out this playlist. Okay, enjoy this 18 minutes of psychedelic jam that is the first side of the first album of this 2-disc set. Alright, let me get my needle, or my thread. This is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Omnium Gatherum, their 20th studio release. They're monsters. Came out earlier this year. So we're doing a slightly darker purple here. So for those unfamiliar, now that I'm getting more into a groove here, Our Place was a Reddit project that originally happened a couple years ago for April Fools, where basically it was a whole bunch of squares, and people could click on a square and change its color. But there was a slight cooldown on how often you could do that. They decided to do that again for this year, and so different communities basically put together pixel designs and coordinated to try to place and protect their sections to have their community represented on the final canvas. It being pixelated, our Cross-Stich looked at it and went, well, you know, it's already in a Cross-Stich pattern. Kind of like how when I started, I did a ton of video game sprites, like Pokemon and stuff, because it's basically already patterned. Just one pixel equals one stitch. So they started their own subreddit and Discord to communicate, codifying and standardizing some stuff, coordinating, getting patterns to people, all sorts of logistics stuff. And it got divided into 100 by 100 sections. There's a bunch of them. I don't know off the top of my head how many. I do know there's like over 350 people working on this project. And the plan is that it's 100 by 100 chunks that are then going to be shipped to sent off to different people by region, I think, by like country or region. And then those are going to be passed along. There's going to be different teams and different people doing the actual preparation to assemble it as one big giant thing. I don't know what the current plan is for the finished piece. I know there was some talk of trying to get it into a pop culture museum. Or doing some sort of fundraising with it. There's a lot of talks in progress for a lot of cool causes, so we shall see. But yeah, like I said, as someone who actually kind of got involved with Our Place, with the King Gizzard section, and being a cross-stitcher and general nerd, this seemed like a fun thing to get involved with. And there's a lot of people that have been finishing up their sections already. I am eternally grateful for the patience and me not being able to get started on it right away because I was wanting to stream it. That took some tech and planning. I even bought new needles to make sure I had a good size for this canvas size because I don't often work with 18 count. Well, it's more waiting a bit to make, not so much to make it special, but to make it feasible as well. Also, I'd been kind of wanting to stream some cross-stitch anyway, because it's fun. But that seemed like a fun project to start it off with. Goes quicker once you get going and you're not trying to get all the tech set up. I'm gonna have to take a picture of how this is set up, actually. Like I said, I'll share it because it's hilarious, but also so I can get it set up this way again next time, because I'm gonna have to put my camera back in this light. This is actually, we should be getting good color off this light. It's one of the full spectrum light bulbs on a standing floor lamp. I usually use it for cross-stitching. Having good light is a huge thing you can do while cross-stitching. Helps you see your holes in your canvas a lot. Okay, we got that color done for right here, so let's finish that off. We'll be coming back to both of these colors later. There's a couple common ways that people will deal with sections of color, like repeated color across project. They're generally shorthanded as cross-country and parking. Cross-country is that if you have sections that are close enough. I tend to finish. I'll do a little bit. I'm rambling. Okay, hang on, let me try again. So cross-country. So say I have a section that is like here and here that's the same color. That's close enough that you might want to just make the jump. And not do the whole section, finish it, and then start again for this section. Cross-country is you just drag it across. If it's an earlier section, you can it'll get covered by other stitches of other colors. If it's a later one, you can feed it under some of the other under the other finished stitches, or just have it carry across if you don't care about the back looking like a nightmare. I don't care too much. Parking is one I have not experimented with. It's one people will use for a lot of full coverage. Like, this is full coverage because every spot is going to have a stitch in it. As opposed to ones that just like have your section and then the background is just whatever color your fabric is. Parking involves leaving your thread hanging, basically, where you finish your section and then you pull it through to wherever your next stitch is of it. And a lot of people will use multiple needles, and that's where needle minders and stuff can come in handy. And then they'll just basically have it off to the side. So when they use that color again, they can just grab the needle and go. That helps when you have what's called confetti. There's a lot of jargon in cross-stitch, just like any hobby. Which is like, this is confetti. It's one stitch of a color all by itself in the middle of nowhere. So either you do like a pin stitch start, or just anchored around stuff around there, or something like cross-stitch or parking. But it's just one stitch all by its lonesome. Hello! Welcome on in, Mary. Watching while working, no sound. Well, you're missing out on some jams. Hang on, I can type that. Cross-stitching! Hang on, let me place. You're missing out on some jams. Haha. And a heart. There we go. So yeah, that's a little bit of the jargon you'll hear with cross-stitching. Okay. I'd say you could get them in the VOD, but the jams are a live-only thing. It's okay. Mary, if you're watching the VOD later, just go listen to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard Omnium Gatherum, and you'll have that covered. I'm not going to type that all out because my keyboard is incredibly impractical to use, so... maybe she'll hear that, maybe she won't, or I'll tell her later. Okay. Next. Bright Turquoise, 3846. Pretty sure that's one I already owned. 3843. Nah, it's coming unraveled. Oh, thank you, Cherry. I appreciate you. You are the best. Okay, what did I say? I needed 3846. So that's gonna be this one, probably? No, you. 3846. 3846. Haha. Yeah, well, also you. How about that? Neener. Probably a little bit longer. I'm so bad at gauging what length I need for things. It's fine. Floss isn't terribly expensive, so... Listening now? Well, not if it's gonna interfere with you working. I don't want to be responsible for that. I have my own problems to be responsible for. And also some cats. They cause lots of problems that they should be responsible for, but somehow aren't because they're cats. We are listening to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Omnium Gatherum. It's their 20th studio album because they're machines. I haven't heard anyone say that music is too quiet or too loud or anything, so I'm going to assume the volume's okay on that, but let me know if that changes or needs to be adjusted. Because I don't live monitor my sound because I would get speech jammered so badly and not be able to talk. So I just watch the levels and have a vague idea of where seems to be good. Okay, so let's start another color here. Let's start here. We've got a couple stitches and a skip. Oh, I do love the boys, even when they're jerk faces. I don't know where either of them are. They were both in here earlier while I was setting up because I was doing things and they've both wandered off and fallen asleep, I think. No cat cam while I'm doing cross-stitching, by the way. Because that would be a nightmare because I just have the one camera. And I've just gotten it set up so that it actually functions, so... Let me make sure my stitches are going the right way. An easy way when cross-stitching to make it look really nice and tidy is just by making sure that you're always going in one direction for your first stitch, and then the same direction for your second stitch. It just visually makes it a lot neater. Cross-stitching the cats seems ill-advised. I mean, I could cross-stitch a picture of the cats. Fortunately, the cats are generally not terribly interested when I'm cross-stitching, so that's not often a huge issue. Another thing with people starting off with cross-stitch that is figuring out your tension, which is how tight you pull your stitches. As you get used to it, you'll kind of naturally fall into a tension. It's one of those things that just, the more you do it, the nicer it'll start looking. Also, every now and then if you let your thread just dangle, it'll kind of untwist itself, because it'll get twisted up from turning the needle as you go. Make lunch. So you can eat while working. You just got that job. Don't get terminated from it immediately for doing silly nonsense when you're supposed to be working. Don't make me be the voice of reason. It's scary when I'm the voice of reason. For multiple reasons. But I do appreciate you hanging out. Have a good lark. Job to buy food, yes. And other things. And generally stay alive. What's the meme? I work so my cats can live a better life. Generally, yep. I'm just kind of going row by row and doing one angle, then the other. And that also helps keep my stitches going in the same direction. Also feed the blanket. It's used to hide the echo and like meow at me in response to saying stuff. That's adorable. I hope you had a directional mic that could help help some of that not pick up. It is what like made it hard to get clean takes, yeah. Especially if it's a longer take as well, I would imagine. Yeah. Basically, I'll work on it until either I start going cross-eyed from looking at tiny holes from a little bit away, or if my wrist starts bugging me, or if it just gets to be a while. So I have absolutely no idea how long I'm going to go today for this stream. I mean, I'll be back for my normal one later tonight. We'll be doing another chapter of Arcade Spirit, speaking of voice acting, because I basically do that for those games, such as it is. It's a learning stream. We're learning about how messy my desk is, what sort of things I can wham-jangle to make work for this sort of setup, a little bit about cross-stitching, and a lot about random music I like. That sound about right? Did I did I do a good summary? Also, if anyone likes any particular tracks that we're listening to, I can recommend an album or two based on that specific sound. This is sort of a mishmash album of a bunch of stuff. Because they're very much an album band. So when they have miscellaneous tracks that don't necessarily go onto a specific album, they'll do a few that are just like this, where it's a bunch of different stuff. If you're digging this and the next track, definitely check out Butterfly 3000. It's a very chill electronic album. Downside of using shorter lengths is that you'll have to stop and grab new floss more often, but it's also less likely to get tangled, so I figured not being tangled would be a bigger boon for what we're doing here, how we have it set up. Okay, so we need 3 stitches, skip 1, and then 2 stitches. Yeah, if you make a mistake, it can vary from undo a few stitches to have to snip a bit of floss and pull out a bunch of floss and redo. Normally, if I make a mistake, if it's not huge, I'll just run with it. No one's going to notice. It's not a big deal. But because we are archiving a very specific thing, if I make a mistake, I will go and figure out how to fix it. Started streaming friend to game to a friend over Discord the other day. Reading this stuff aloud is so much fun. Yes. I do enjoy that. I have cassette tapes somewhere of me doing heavy air quotes radio shows with my little Magnavox boombox. It was doing silly voices and reading aloud from books and ripping off Ren and Stimpy and Monty Python because that was the majority of my media consumption and sense of humor. Theoretically, those could be digitized, but guess what's not happening? Unless I want to make a really, really bizarre music project and sample it. Bonus points is a horror game that didn't seem to really have jump scares, so you got to break out creepy readings. Nice. Alright, I'm gonna finish this piece and needle up another chunk of the same color, because I don't feel like playing thread chicken. Might bust this out on some Tuesday mornings too, but Tuesday mornings tend to be my morning and afternoon tends to be my schedule things that need to get done because I know I'm off. Let's grab another piece of that. So embroidery floss comes in 6 strands. Most projects, especially on like a between like a 14 and an 18 count fabric, will use two threads because that tends to be pretty good coverage. I'm not used to working with needles this small. It took me a second to figure out which end had the eye in it. I mean, I could use a needle threader, but meh. I do fine doing it by eye. Double check my work, make sure all my stitches are going the same way. We good? Okay. Start this row. Also, if you find yourself enjoying this music and want to delve further, King Giz fans have a reputation that's well earned. On the subreddit, there's a flowchart that if you start with a specific album, and then depending on what you like from it, it goes in different directions through their discography. The fact that that exists and is an actual useful thing is ridiculous. Yeah, it's legit a big infographic. Someone made one a while ago, and someone recently updated it with like the 5+ albums that came out since the original was made. They also have a bunch of their live performances available on Bandcamp. Because they're somehow also constantly touring. And also, most of the members have side projects that also tour sometimes and have albums. I don't understand how these people have the time and energy for it. I appreciate it, but dear lord. Yeah, wild indeed. I am happy to be into them in a time when I can actually keep up with releases and catch them on tour. And they've been coming to the state and nearby. So I've gotten to see them live 2 or 3 times. 2 times. I'll be seeing them for a third time in October. They also don't repeat a set list ever, so it varies wildly from show to show. They go through their entire discography. It's absolutely mad. They're all incredibly, like, technically talented musicians. My favorite album of theirs is Polygon Dwanaland. We'll listen to that one at some point. It is very, very 70s prog rock with polyrhythms and polymeters and all sorts of absurdity. They have been on KEXP studio recordings a couple times. Highly recommend watching those performances. KEXP in Seattle has an amazing studio setup. And especially the Polygon Dwanaland, to just see the absolute technical precision of incredibly complex music. At the time it was 7 members. So 7 people absolutely perfectly in sync. It's astonishing. Oh, we had a couple of chill songs, so now we're gonna have something that's more heavy. They're also huge hippies and do a lot of environmental stuff. A lot of their albums are very, very environmentally message forward. In fact, they won a there was, I don't remember who this was through, but there was a music environmental sort of award basically for music about environmental stuff. King Giz won, and then immediately turned and donated all $20,000 of it to an environmental charity. Their first live concert performances they released on Bandcamp were $10 each. At each show, all of the money went to a different Australian brushfire rescue. So they're somehow also genuinely good people. I don't get it. It's not fair. Some of them have families, too. Looking into them in any depth makes it real obvious why they have such a cult following, actually. Come on. They also, you can tell they genuinely enjoy being musicians and playing together, and it's been the same people since the beginning of the band. It started off as supposed to have been just, it was a group of friends. They went to school together, and it was all 7 of them, and they just wanted a band that they could strum some chords, play along, and goof around on stage and do impromptu performances. That's the reason their name is so weird, because there were 2 different name suggestions, and they just combined them, because they thought it was just sort of a one-off, silly thing. And then they stuck around and kept making music. Their first albums are very garage rock. A lot of it's been driven by their lead vocalist, Stu McKenzie. He produces basically all the stuff they do. Um, he definitely has an ear for it. He produces some of their side project stuff too. It is very much his project, but it is also highly collaborative. They do a ton of like video stuff on YouTube that's behind the scenes on different recording sessions, and it's really, really nice to see that, like, well, he's working on different stuff with them where it's just like stuff like, well, if we do it this way, it's going to be real goofy. I'm not sure if that's what we're looking for, but if that's what you all think, then yeah, we'll do that. And it's just like, that's wholesome. And you don't often see that with really, really perfectionist producers or band leaders. The fact that it's just like genuinely helping his mates make awesome music. It's just nice. Alright, so we've got a couple more here. Skip one and go over. Tell people that counted cross-stitch as like coloring. You're just filling in the spots. For small projects, I usually won't bother gridding it, but again, because this is a bigger project and precision is actually kind of needed, I wanted to give myself the best way to be accurate with it. But for personal projects, whatever. I'll often just grab a color that's close if it's one I don't have, or if I miss a spot, I'll fill it in with a different color, or there's a couple stitches going the wrong way, whatever. Generally, if you are not looking for an error, you're not gonna find it. But again, this is archiving, so we gotta be accurate. This smooth jam is very environmental. It's about a whale, who, because of the state of their environment, would rather be turned into ambergris than continue to live in this awful ocean. But it sounds like smooth jazz. They also have a, like, 60s pop rock acoustic album that sounds really, really fun and upbeat. But all the lyrics are, like, serial killer creepy. It's great. Okay, what do we got next? Yeah, I think you'd like that one. You should look into Paper Mache Dream Balloon. Looks like it's going to be a bunch of just a few stitches here and there sections for a moment. Let's skip to do some bigger chunks so I can maybe carry it a bit. I'm just studying the pattern to see where I want to go next here. Let's do this bit here. Well, what I'll do is I'll just try to remember to play it one of the times that we're doing this. It's a good album. I like it. I like all their albums. 907. Here it is. They have one that will not be to everyone's taste, and it took me a bit to have grow on me, but they have one called Murder of the Universe that's kind of a almost it's a spoken it's got some spoken word stuff on it, and it's in 3 parts, and it's telling 3 different stories. And the third one is about an android that wants to do 2 things that he cannot do as a cyborg, which is to die and to vomit. And he makes a machine to do that, and it's a whole thing. And it's done with one of like the text to speech voices. Huh, is a good response to a lot of the stuff they do. Alright, so we're gonna skip a bit here. Start our parrot green. I like cross-stitching, it's very relaxing. So this track, Ambrose decided to try some rapping. It's very Beastie Boys, but also his, like, 90-year-old grandmother did some singing and vocals for it. Yeah, that'd be her. Oh, hello! Welcome on in, Raiders! How did your Final Fantasy XIV end up? Did you get the hang of the weaving you were attempting? Hello, hello! Welcome on in! We're doing something a little unusual today. Usually I do video games, a lot of times retro or indie stuff, mainly indie stuff. But today, I am doing a cross-stitch project, which is something I've been wanting to do for a while for a stream. We have a real janky setup, so pardon any weirdness of that. It's been a lot of experimentation today. But I am working on a section from the Reddit project Place, because basically the cross-stitch subreddit looked at it and went, yeah, we can do that. And so a pattern got made, and it got doled out into 100 by 100 sections. There's like 350 people plus working on this, and it's going to be eventually sent all to different people to get assembled. So I'm working on my section because it seemed like it would be fun to stream and get a little more awareness about the project, and just because it's nerdy and fun. And because I'm me, we are listening to some tunes while we do it. We are currently listening to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Omnium Gatherum. It's very much a mixed bag of different genre stuff. They're very much an album band, but every now and then they'll do some that are sort of a mishmash of stuff that didn't fit on other albums. If you have any questions about the project, I can try to answer them, but the link in chat will give you get you directly to the subreddit, which also has a link to the Discord, if you either have questions or want to get involved with the project. Or if you have questions about cross-stitching, or if you have questions about any of the music that's playing. I've been rambling about the band for a while. Or just in general. It's all good. We hang out and have a chill time around here. I will be streaming again later tonight with some video games. This is just a bonus craft stream. I'm going to be playing a chapter of Arcade Spirits tonight at 6 o'clock Central. I normally stream on Monday mornings, Tuesday evenings, and Thursday evenings, and then stick bonus streams beyond that. Because those are the 3 times that I specifically have set aside for streaming. But when I have extra time, I'll just do it as a bonus stream. Consistency and all that. Hello, welcome on in. Yeah, I recognize your name from hanging out in Boz's chat earlier. You're the one helping him figuring out the weaving. Welcome on in. Feel free to follow the channel to get notifications when I'm live, because I'm live pretty much for a different kind of weaving. Yeah, cross-stitch. Just why I got confused when he first said weaving. But yeah, so I stream regularly. Also, I have a huge back catalog of VODs on my YouTube channel. I should make a chat command for that. But I don't edit them, really. I just do, like, trim the beginning and end and condense breaks. But all of my streams, most of my streams are available on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Hulyen. Those usually go up within a couple days of when they air, and I throw them in playlists by game. I've got more than a year's worth of VODs up at this point. Something like 200 whatever videos, but yeah. Feel free to subscribe there and check that out. But like I've been saying, if you have any questions about the project I'm working on, the cross-stitch in general, music we're listening to, whatever. I have all sorts of random shenanigans I will ramble about. This is a song that is not environmental, but it is political. It's about Rupert Murdoch. It's called Evilest Man. Walking home. I like cross-stitching while I'm watching stuff as well. What do I usually stitch? A lot of times I will do video game sprites. I'm part of a collaborative that basically it's a group of people that are loosely tied together via place of employment, either past or present or adjacent. That we are all crafters in different ways, and we're basically different anime conventions where it's a lot of pressure to fill an entire table full of work, but there's enough of us that we can all just do a few things to send along, and we have a very, very organized person who keeps track of it and keeps track of what sells for whom and all of that. So I do a lot of small video game sprite cross stitches, and then I'll mount them on a scrapbook paper and just put them in a little frame, and I'll sell those. Usually like $10 or $15, depending on how long they take to do. That's a lot of what I do. I recently came into a pile of older cross-stitch magazines and books, and I've been making my way through some of those patterns. I like flowers, kind of like traditional floral. Yeah, I also make pins. I make 2.5-inch buttons. I have a machine for it. I have some plans with that and a different kind of art stream that I need to get off the ground at some point. Do I have any of the pins handy that I've done? Hang on. I do a lot of found object pins, a lot of like sleeves and booster wrappers for like Pokemon and Magic and stuff. I have some vintage ones that are out of like old magazines and books that are already in rough shape that I can recover neat art from and make pins. I sell some of them to a vintage place in Door County that sells them. That's also fun. If you're in the Wisconsin, Northeast Wisconsin area, I will be at KitsuneCon. I do not have an Etsy. I am looking into that at some point. I'm gonna have to figure out something for plans that I have. Either like Etsy or Gumroad. That's in the works. Some of the things need a lot of planning. Some of them I just need time and energy to actually make happen. But I was gonna say, if you're in the Northeast Wisconsin area, or if you're gonna be at KitsuneCon in Green Bay, our collaborative group, we don't have a table this year, but we are going to be doing a panel on Sunday morning to make fleece tie blankets for a local cat rescue. And also I'm considering, I'm thinking it might be, yeah, it's very soon. I'd have to turn them around pretty quick, but I think it might be kind of fun to make a pin to wear that says "Ask me about my Twitch channel," and then maybe like make pins that just have my logo and Twitch name on it. Because my logo's adorable. It'd be dorky and self-promoting, which always makes me feel awkward, but it might be a good idea. Because I am going to wander around on Sunday. Nope, no table this year. It's actually totally understandable. What they're trying to do is a lot of the people who had been there pretty much every year for Artist Alley didn't necessarily get a table this year, so that they could get some new people in, because they have limited space for Artist Alley, so that's understandable. But we were still able to get our panel spot for the tie blankets, so you'd wear one. Well, I'll see about at least getting the logo pins made. I'm trying to decide if Ask Me About My Twitch channel would be too cringy, or if I should just wear it. I don't know. Sometimes I am shameless with my self-promotion, sometimes I am not. It depends on the context. It is a nerd convention for nerds. That's true. Do it. When it comes to, like, posting out about streams I'm doing and talking to companies, I'm totally shameless about that sort of stuff. I'm totally comfortable with that, but, like, actually just talking to people about myself? That's tougher. Well, I'll at least make the logo and name pins. I should have enough time to turn that around real fast. And I'll put them in a bag, and I'll consider the other one. Self-promotion is normal. You would miss out on opportunities. But for me, it's knowing what's an appropriate time and place to do that, because when it's not, it's going to damage you more than anything. And just inexperience with doing that necessarily, or having paid much attention to other people doing that in a way that's productive, makes me more hesitant to try things without the knowledge. Some things I jump headfirst into, some things I do a lot of setup and research. It's usually a mix of the two. Like for streaming, I kind of got the setup good enough and functional to where I was okay with it without, like, I didn't worry about it being super stressful or anything, or super professional or anything. That's never been a big worry of mine. Like, I'm still not. It's fine. But I wanted at least a decent microphone and webcam and a basic setup. Enough for it to look not necessarily professional, but, well, I don't know. How big do files need to be for pins to turn out good? Just a print resolution. Oh yeah, there was that one you wanted me to do ages ago. Send that to me again. I think that one is simple enough that if it's low res, I should be able to vector it out and get it into a higher res for you. That was like several years ago. Yeah, I'm sorry. I need reminders about these things. I'm bad about that. Um, let's do. Where is my heart? The Emerald Green 911. Now I go in my box of all the colors I need for this project. Oh, life happens, but my memory is garbage toilets. Um, you may have seen earlier I have bright pink post-its that I stick on my monitor to remind me of important things. Yeah, please send that now so you don't forget to. I appreciate that. Um, I also found out that there's a reminder app on Android that you can set so that it makes a checklist on your home screen on your phone, and it's amazing. I put to-do lists or to-do things on there and dates and times and people I need to contact, and yeah. Yeah, it's great. It was a built-in, I don't know if it's built in for Android or just for Samsung, but it has helped me not forget important things a lot. I haven't been officially diagnosed because it's not really worth it. But came to the realization within the last couple of years and had it kind of confirmed by a couple of therapists that I have ADHD, which in retrospect seems super obvious, but I'm 37, and when I was a kid, there was no way I would have ever been looked at to be diagnosed because I was a good student and I didn't have behavioral issues. Um, and I was a girl, so all those things led to it just I was just a weird kid. Assigned female at birth. Yep. But yeah, I go ahead and I personally will go with like girl, woman, whatever because I am cis and I still identify with that. So, but I do try to use more neutral and inclusive language whenever possible. You were the weird kid who hissed at people and read a lot. Yeah, that tracks. Seems about right, and also me to some degree. I didn't have a ton of friends. I was not good at. This song I'm gonna crank up a little bit. So King Giz managed to do a summer jam, and it's awesome. Baby, I got persistence. Keep pushing like forward motor pistons. Baby, I got persistence. I'm an automatic transmission. Baby, I got persistence. I hold the pole position. This is my favorite song on the album. I go the distance. To cruise. Try. Mm-hmm. Baby, I got persistence. Keep pushing like the forward motor pistons. Baby, I got persistence. I hold the automatic transmission. The pole position. Yeah, I go the distance. Wings. Let's see here. Yes, this is where my next stitch is. Baby, I got resistance. Position. Yeah, thank you for indulging me there. I just love the song's got such a good beat. Found it called the file pin of Transure. That, yep. Been there with that sort of file name. Gotta get to bed. Yeah, it's pretty late for you. It's what, like 2:30 a.m. there? When are you coming back stateside? That's gotta be coming up, right? But either way, I'm glad you could hang out. I appreciate it. It's nice to see you. Always, always, always good to see, to catch up with close friends. Next month? Well, I hope that goes smoothly. Give the family my best. Boz is an old friend from Final Fantasy XI when I played that regularly. A whole, like, what, they're doing a 20-year anniversary this year? And I'd played originally at launch. Something like that. There was a in-game group called the Link Shell that one of the people started, and I am still in touch with a lot of those people. Like, there's a group of us that still keep in touch. One of them made it to my wedding. I haven't talked to him lately. I should catch up and see how he's doing. Boz and his wife, I've actually met in person. Um, they did a road trip around the country and stopped by mine neck of the woods, and we got some lunch, and it was super neat. Yeah, it was very wholesome. That was kind of my social group for a while I was in college and unemployed and having a lot of depression issues. It was nice to have a digital friend group to stay social and connect with. So a lot of those people are still very important to me. I'm not the speediest stitcher around, but this is coming together. Hopefully you can kind of see it a bit. Let's see how close to size this did, if we can do like a magical Ooh, it's about 1-to-1, so we can do like a wah! Haha! Look at it magically turn to color! I'm easily entertained, don't mind me. I've got a couple of stitches a little further down that I probably should have hopped over to do earlier. But it's still close enough that I'll just do that now. This is just 2 stitches, and I don't want to have to do that as its own section later. Some cross-stitch is balancing convenience with how it's gonna look. It's actually a pretty easy hobby to get into. Especially since I do a lot of very small pieces. St. Vincent de Paul, before they started having basically no selection whatsoever on anything, good lord, that place has been empty the last few times I've been there. I think they're selling basically everything online these days. But I used to just get, like, little baggies of bits of fabric for, like, 50 cents. And the floss skeins are, like, usually about 20, 30 cents each, and they go pretty far. So it's one of those things that if you coupon and plan carefully and pick it up piecemeal as you need, you can do it pretty inexpensively. If you're doing really big pieces, it can get expensive, especially for the fabric, because large pieces you need a large chunk of fabric for, and if you don't stitch in hand, which is to say without a hoop or a frame, if you're not doing that, then you're going to need either a hoop or a frame you're comfortable with that you can move the piece around as you go, or a scroll frame, which actually has a couple of, like, sections, and you can kind of wind it, and it will go through and scroll. I do not have one of those. I don't generally work on things that are that big. This is a little bigger than what I normally work on, to be perfectly honest. Except for that one dragon one I did that was a pre-made pattern kit. So you can get kits that will have your fabric, a needle, all the thread you need, and the pattern. Got schmutz on the back here. There we go. You can also freehand patterns. There's, especially online now, like Etsy, there's a ton of shops that will do patterns. I also have software that I can make my own. I've done a few. I've got a few more I want to do. I want to do a for our wall at home that has like a border, and then the Darkest Dungeon one flame. Somehow probably like the flame and then a border, but it's going to say in like a nice fancy script, remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer, because that's just useful life advice to have around the house. So that will happen at some point eventually when I get to it. That's the case with a lot of projects. While I've got this color out, I'm gonna do this stupid little 2-stitch section I need to do. Because I don't want to have to dig this color back out later, because I won't need it again for a little while. It's a little bit wasteful on floss, but it's not a huge deal. Oh, we're back to some heavier songs here. I cut my teeth on digital art using MS Paint, so dealing in painting in pixels is not unfamiliar territory for me, which comes in handy for pattern making. All right, so that's going to be here, and I'll probably just top down and do this one here too. In high school, I had gotten myself a copy of Jask Paint Shop Pro because Photoshop was impossible to get. I used that one once I got a scanner to clean up and add transparent backgrounds to stuff. And that was before there were good free options, like the GIMP editor were just coming into prevalence. And now I have the Adobe suite, so I usually use that. Dad always had Painter and Photoshop and special programs too intimidated to do much when you were real little. Yeah. A lot of those softwares have that problem where it's a massive learning curve. I have that with my I have software on my computer to do a digital um audio board, and I barely know how to make that do what I need it to do, much less use it in any way that is competent. But I figured out how to get it to do what I need to do, and I know how to look up how to phrase my queries to look up what I don't know how to do and make it work. Also, I'm stubborn. That helps. Especially with computer and hardware and software stuff. Stubbornness and knowing how to search things are the important bits. Photopea. Yeah, I've heard of that one. There's a few that are good just like browser-based Photoshop style programs, which is just an absurd concept to me that we've come that far in technology that you can do a browser-based Photoshop that can do a lot of the stuff that Photoshop can do. I still have very old backups around here somewhere for files on 3.5-inch floppy disks. It's wild and it's free. Yeah, I know. It's great. Stuff's gotten a lot more accessible. Okay. Let's see here. I got my bits of green. So you can see we had some confetti of just like 2 stitches here and 1 here. So I decided to do this chunk, and then I did these 2, and then just hopped down and did this. So I just carried the thread on the back here. It's a little loose, but it's in open sections. So I'll be stitching other stuff around it. Got some very Doors piano here. Okay, let's do... That's going to be a big section. Let's see what else we have here. I don't want to leave, like, these single sections for too long, but I also don't want to pull out the color just for that. Let's do... Let's do 907. That's going to be a lighter version of this emerald color we were doing. Oh no, that's this color we were doing. Oh, I've got a little bit more up here. Okay, I see. Projects where you have a lot of colors can be a bit challenging. My square has every single color possible in place except one. Some of it only has a few stitches here and there, but I don't mind a more challenging section. I don't have any sections with wings though. That was a thing. I figured streaming it, maybe that wasn't the best. At least I don't have any sections with wings that I've noticed. So, you know, there's that. I definitely have some Among Us. There was a group of people going in and just adding the little Among Us guys in like tiny little pixel sections into different areas. I've got some obvious ones, and we'll probably find some hidden ones too. Pretty sure the people doing this project have found more of them than the algorithm someone wrote to try to identify most of them onto the on the final canvas. Sus indeed. Oh, I've definitely got some sussy pixels on my section. Further down. Got some... Yeah, I'll show you some... Got some real obvious ones here. Whole row. There we go. I gotta lean in a little bit to find my holes on some of these sections that are getting enclosed. 2 threads fills in pretty nicely on this size canvas. And we're doing the finished canvas, not the cleaned up canvas, so complete with any last minute random color vandalization. Someone was saying that there was a color they needed to track down for thread because they had literally 1 stitch of it that someone had stuck a random pixel of. I think someone just mailed them a little bit of that color, plus they didn't have to buy a whole skein for 1 stitch. Because again, archival, so you don't want to substitute it. Want it to come together as much as possible. Which is why usually you don't have this big of a border on a piece for finishing or framing, but they wanted to have a large allowance without knowing exactly how it was going to connect. Because it's easier to trim it down than it is to add more. You can whip stitch sections together to extend or sew on sections, but it's messy and bulky, and this is going to be bulky enough already. Oh, that's someone else's expertise. I can do the stabby bit. Candles. Stab things a million times. Yeah, there's a fairly popular saying that gets made into patterns that's don't mess with me. This is evidence that I have the patience to stab something 1,000 times. If you want to see truly artistic stabbing, my friend My Arm Can Fly, they stream on Twitch. They also have a website. They do needle felting. They do amazing work, and they're also very much just chill, hang out, answer questions. They have birds. They're adorable. But I highly recommend checking that out. They're fantastic. And that is truly... I think they call it the gentle art of stabbing because they have an amazing sense of humor. Pigeons. They have pigeons. And one of them thinks he is the king of all creation, and he's not necessarily wrong. 3840. They also have an adorable tiny dog. 3840. There we go. But yeah, go follow My Arm Can Fly. Their streaming schedule is they try to have it be somewhat consistent. I don't know what kind of pigeons, but if you ask them, they will absolutely answer that. They're on Instagram as well. And adore talking about and showing off the burbs. But if you follow them, they do a lot of conventions for selling their work. So in summer and fall, they're not streaming as much because they're traveling. But give them a follow. They have very relaxing streams. They tend not to be super long because they have to limit how long they needle felt at a time because it has a very persistent motion of stabbing, and they've had wrist issues before, so they're trying to mitigate that. But they're fantastic. I know them from internet forums way back in the day. Nerdy artist gathering. Oh, let's see here. Probably close to 25 years? Man, I have some internet history. And a surprising amount of people I'm still in contact with from that internet history. That's absurd to think about. The wonderful human who did my logo and my emotes, I also know from the same internet forum. She was the ringleader of our little circus. But I love her style. I knew it was going to be absolutely perfect. So I contacted her to do my logo and emotes. Basically, I kind of give her a sort of idea of what I'm looking for, and then whatever she gets back to me, I truthfully answer that it's amazing and it's fine. I don't think I've given her a single note on any of them because it's just perfect. She also did a piece of art for me that was on our wedding invitations of a couple of dragons on a castle. But I love her work. I've known her for like a decade, multiple plus. Yeah, I don't think I have a print of it framed. I think I still have printouts of that art somewhere. I'll show you sometime. That was the only one I think I gave her any notes on because I asked for like a castle and dragons, and she gave me one dragon and a castle, and I told her, I'm like, well, it's a wedding invitation, so maybe a second dragon, and so she added another one, and it's like, yep, perfect, thank you. She did it on very little notice, too, because the first person I had to do a design for invitations fell through on me, and I did not have the time to do it for obvious reasons. I don't remember if she let me pay her for that. Probably not, even though I'm sure I tried very hard, because I believe in fair compensation for time and talent. We had a friend do photography for our wedding, and she quoted us a price for it that was so low that I told her that was absurd, and she gave me a look of like, oh, is that too high? And I'm like, no, we're going to write you a check for much more than that, and you're going to cash it. And she did. I But it's like, no, that number is unacceptable. You need to be paid for your time and expertise. Let's grab another album here. Oops, not Steam. Let's grab something different. I'm just kind of grabbing what I happen to have downloaded at the moment. We need something a little more upbeat after that. Oh, I know. Let's listen to some Freeze Pop. They are nerdy synth pop, and I adore them. They're very catchy. No, not the dripping tap. We already had the dripping tap. There we go. This is Freeze Pop Forever by the band Freeze Pop. They got to be a little known from the harmonics video game stuff, like frequency, amplitude, rock band. Is that too high? Sounds like someone who doesn't know the horrors of wedding photography. Yeah, it was basically she only did some pictures because we were friends. And she knew that we were going to be very, very, very easy to do. Mainly we just went to a local park. She set up some really nice family pictures. We spent a couple hours doing that, and then she snapped a few pictures at the reception, and that was about it. She got me just a CD of all the raw pictures and a couple edited ones, and that was exactly what I was looking for. It was real nice and straightforward. And she got dinner and drinks at the reception. But even though she was a friend, the amount she quoted was not nearly enough for her time and expertise. If you know what I mean. It's not a part of my hair, skin, Brendan, he's a beauty. Is this 4 stitches? It's supposed to be 4 stitches. Perfect. I like when those numbers match. That means I'm doing things right. Oh yeah, I would never want to be involved with most wedding things if it wasn't something real specific for specific people, just in general. Oh, I wouldn't do that solo either. That's a nightmare. I'm not nosy. I'm just concerned. People are hurting. We've all been burnt. Okay, so that's all for that little bit here. That might be all the stitches. I think there's one more little section of it. There's 13 stitches total. Yeah, so we're gonna encounter this color again. Somewhere. So if comfort keeps up, I figure I'll stitch for another half hour, round it up to about my normal stream time. Gives me a few hours to relax, get some breakfast, get a few things done around the house before my evening stream. Deconstruct my nightmare of tech here. Be friends if you know what I mean. Alright, let's see. Just take a quick peek, make sure everything's still going the right way and looking nice and neat. Let's see. A little blurry, but you can see how it's kind of coming together there. We've done over 100 stitches, because each of these squares is 10 by 10. Let's see here. Let's start doing that big chunk. Is that gonna be black? That is gonna be... Oh, nope, it's gonna be red. Fun. 150. Red, bright. That's a brightish red, I guess. The one that, I don't know if it still is, but used to be called Christmas Red is DMC number 666, which entertains me to no end because I am a juvenile. Red is better than black when it comes to crafting. I've done a project on... Oh, this is going to be a tangled mess, but whatever. I must have pulled it wrong out of the skein. I'll sit in a pile and I'll fix it. In my private galaxy. I have separate piles of color on my desk. Ah, dropping stuff. But a lot of people absolutely loathe and will not work on black fabric. It's not bad if you have proper lighting. You can get some really pretty results with it. Drink some water. I shoved my water bottle full of ice because I wasn't sure how warm it was going to be under this light. Working with black yarn is a pain. Oh, yeah. Plastic stars. Private galaxy. Since pop stars. So we've got a big old chunk of outline that this red is going to be. So we're going to start with this little spot here. And then we'll have almost finished our 100 stitch section here. I think what I'm going to do is it has to go all the way down and over. I think I'm going to single stitch my way that way and then come back up because then it kind of loops around this way. I think is going to be the most efficient way to do that. And also kind of keep track of where my line and color goes. This is the track a lot of people know Freeze Pop from. It was on Frequency. A PS2 rhythm game by the company Harmonix, who had been doing different music-related software and accessibility stuff. They did Frequency, and then they did Amplitude, and then they did Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero was pretty big. They did Guitar Hero 1 and 2, and then sold the name to Neversoft, formerly of Tony Hawk fame. And I think Activision owned Neversoft or bought them. And everyone was confused as to why they would have done that, because Guitar Hero was so big. But then they came out with Rock Band, which was the All the Instruments one. And then Neversoft followed up with Guitar Hero World Tour. was funny because Guitar Hero was a huge smash hit when it came out, and it had been on my radar because I was such a big fan of Frequency and Amplitude. Where it's just like, oh, cool, it's the next project from these people. Why is it being so massive? Because there were demos of it at various places, and yeah. So that's a brief history of harmonics. They did a Kickstarter a few years ago, more than 5 years ago, I want to say, that was for a new Amplitude game for PlayStation 3, and then it got scope creep with also doing PS4, and it eventually came out. It's one of the few projects that I backed, but it's one of the few I've been kind of disappointed with. It did not live up to previous Frequency and Amplitude titles for me. They also did Child of Eden, which is one of the few Kinect games that I had and played, because it was amazing. You can play that with controller as well. Maybe I'll stream that one sometime. That game's a trip. I also own Rez. No, sorry. Child of Eden is the Rez company, not Harmonix. My mistake. Rez was a very electronic, trancy PS2 rail shooter, kind of. That had a cult following that was very, very hard to get for a long time. I have that one. And then they did a sequel for Xbox 360 for Kinect, but is also playable with controller, called Child of Eden. I'll probably play those at some point. Especially since they, I think, use original music, so it's not likely to get content matched. Because that's what makes it difficult to play rhythm games on stream, is knowing that the VOD is likely to get muted or flagged. And I kind of want to wait until I have my settings so that I can do a local recording. I'm not going to usually do that. I just usually just grab the VODs off of Twitch and then chop them, render them, and upload them to YouTube. But if I'm going to do any rhythm games, I want to make sure I get local recordings so I don't get muted VODs. But that means I have to dive into another world of settings and learning about some stuff I haven't worked with before. Which is fine. I just need time and energy for it. I'm not worried about my system handling it. That beast of a machine will be fine. Also, my hard drive's getting fairly full right now. I got a 8 terabyte data drive that should be coming in the mail tomorrow for backing up my videos because I filled up my external. Turns out videos take up a lot of space. Who'd have thought? And then this song was on Rock Band. Oh yeah, Rock Band's great. I have some friends that we regularly will still play because there's actually a community of people making custom tracks for it. Like, they have software to do custom mapping for the various tracks. It's a massive community. They do some of the other music games too. This song is very silly. It's in Japanese, and it's about wanting a tennis boyfriend. Rock Band's how you learned that one song from Portal. Oh, that's a great song. Jonathan Colton at his finest. So you can see how I had this whole section to do. So I started here, did one stitch over, and then followed it back up, and then did this a little bit over here. It's all about movement planning. Or sometimes people will just do it. A lot of times, if people are doing parking, they'll do like just a column or a row at a time, even if there's more stitches near it, just to keep it easy to follow so they can keep track of where they're at. W indeed. Um, I tend to do chunks of color at a time, so I'll just follow it through to wherever it's taken me. And then inevitably miss a stitch here or there of a color and then go back and have to fill it in and whatever, it's fine. Oh yeah, it happens. I'm not trying to be the most efficient in the world, so whatever. Let's see here. I think I need this stitch to go. Let's do this one first, then we'll come back. Yeah, it does look like a W. Whoop. I believe you. I know basically no Japanese. I have a coworker I rely on for that sort of knowledge. She's used to it. Oh, that makes sense. this spot here in the middle. Oh, fun. I love the creativity that people have for that sort of thing. It's great. The amount of creativity that comes out of all sorts of hobbies and fandoms and whatnot is honestly inspiring, and I love it. No sarcasm there. Used up my piece of floss there. Grab another one. I figure I'll stitch until the end of this album and then probably call it. I'm starting to feel it in my shoulders a bit. We got pretty far, though, for just being a starting chunk. And also, once we got this set up, kajiggered, it seems like it's been okay. Hopefully it's not too weird having the stitching at an angle here. Because I didn't want a setup where it was totally flat, even though that's easier to light and capture on camera, because it wouldn't be as comfortable to work on. Having it at this angle is much preferable for personal comfort and ease of getting to the back of the piece when I need to and adjusting. Which is an important consideration with crafting, is comfort and ergonomics. Because that can cause lifelong problems if you don't pay attention to that sort of thing. I'm fortunate to have a very nice high-end desk chair with a lot of adjustments that is very, very comfortable and ergonomic for sitting in for extended periods of time. Which has been a big part of being able to do streaming. It's actually my mom's old work office chair. They went full remote over the whole pandemic and had everyone come in and take their stuff, and she didn't need an extra chair, so she asked if I wanted this one. And I said sure, because my old chair was very comfortable, but it was very, very old and starting to fall apart. So I got her fancy, expensive office chair. Crazy goat, where have you gone, girl? Crazy goat, where in the world? Crazy goat, what have you done, girl? Crazy goat, where are you? Similar story how you got that monitor. Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about that. Oh, I never object to secondhand stuff as long as it's in workable condition. And it's either an upgrade or something I don't have. Although it did take me a long time to realize that sometimes, even if a thing still technically functions, if you can afford it and it's going to be a quality of life thing, you can buy a new the thing. The most pertinent of that was I had a airbook that was an old business machine that I got from someone that they had managed to put Linux Mint onto it so I could use it for web browsing. It was just like a little thin airbook. Hinge broke on it. And it was still functioning and it was still fine. Then the hinge broke further, and I was at the point of pondering aloud if I would be able to use a screwdriver and duct tape to get it to stay together enough to continue using it. And my husband pointed out, you could just buy a new something to replace that. You just get a tablet and replace it at that point. And it was like, yeah, I guess I could, couldn't I? To be fair, I'm finally replacing that tablet. That should be coming sometime next month. To be fair, I've had that tablet for like 8 or 9 years. It aged out of YouTube app, and I've been having to watch YouTube in a browser window. So it's had a good run. I'll still use it for some stuff. It's still great for, it still has a battery life and is great for pulling up cross-stitch patterns and stuff. But I can't really use it for all the stuff that I want to, because it's just, the OS is too old on it. I run stuff into the ground. I also try to get good stuff so that it will last as well. New crochet hook sometime. Oh yeah, they make some super ergonomic ones. If you want, I can talk to my mom and ask for recommendations, because she has some arthritis problems. She had wrist surgeries recently to help with that. I can ask what she recommends for ergonomic hooks. And she might have some extras. If she does, I'm sure you are welcome to them. Because that's how my mom be. Lost my thread. To be fair, I think you've met my mom. One place or another. Oh yeah, I figured. And any of her recommendations would be something that would be around for a while, so. That, like I said, there's a chance that she's got some extras, or she might have like an ergonomic set that she had tried and didn't work for her that she might just have sitting around. She also goes to way too many rummage sales and finds good deals on stuff that she figures someone can get use out of, so I'll ask her what she's got in her stash and what she recommends. If she has anything, I'll drop it off for you. Dear Lord, if you ever need yarn, I will put you in touch with her. She buys totes of it at rummage sales and gets a good deal. Because she does a lot of, like hats and scarves and mittens for like tank school districts sort of stuff, where it's just lower income areas. I think she's personally outfitted like every family in that district with hat, gloves, and mittens and scarf. She's like me, she can't sit still, so she's constantly crocheting. also why I like doing cross-stitching for projects like this, or like the little ones that I sell, because then I don't have it piling up around the house and it goes away. It's one of those, I like doing the thing, I don't necessarily need the thing around my house. So beware if you ever show interest in a project I'm working on that isn't earmarked for anything specific, because it may get mysteriously added to your problem. Yours now. Oh, you like the thing? Are you being polite or do you actually like the thing? Oh, you actually like the thing? Okay, yours now. But nope, I don't want money. I just want it to be not in my house. Outside of things that I'm actively trying to sell, which isn't very often. I donate a lot of stuff just to get it out of my hair. I've definitely, like, sent stuff to various thrift places and whatnot that I could conceivably get an amount of money for, but the time and effort to sell it and ship it and this and that and the other thing is just like, or I could just put it in this box and make it go away. It's also helped me destash. I've had friends getting into different crafts and stuff, or needing different random stuff, and because of realizing now ADHD, I have a lot of stuff that sounded like it would be fun to do, or I tried for a little bit, bought stuff for, and then never really did again. Um, so it's getting over the but what if I need the thing someday? I should hang on to the thing. But if someone can actively use the thing, it's a lot easier to just be like, here, you take the thing. If I need it again, I'll buy a new one because you can use it now. So here, take it. That helps a lot with the destashing. I actually cleaned out a good chunk of craft stuff that way and other miscellaneous stuff. Basically, having a purpose for it, even if the purpose is giving to specific person for project, makes it way easier to just be like, yep, it can go. So I've been working on that to be actively better at it. And I've got a few friends that I can call upon to come over and help me go through stuff and help me objectively assess, like, when's the last time I even looked at or thought about the thing? Can I actually, is this something I legitimately might have a use for, or is this something that I just think is neat and feel like I might use sometime? Sometimes just getting a third party involved with that can help. I have an amazing support network of friends and family, and I am forever grateful for it. This is not the right row for this, so I'm going to stop right here. Oh, nope, this is. I'm looking at the wrong... Jumping back up a section here. Cross-stitch is like crochet. It's real easy to just pull the last few stitches of whatever you've done. Come on, grab both strands. There we go. Keep moving and your tender eyes. This band is far too catchy. They have a really catchy song called Pop Music Is Not a Crime. It's great. Like, sometimes you just want happy, goofy music, and that's okay. Not all forms of expression need to be serious business and purposeful. Sometimes the purpose is just it's fun. Keep petting me tender lives, keep petting me better lives. It always drives me nuts when people gatekeep about, well, anything, but also like, that's not real art. Like, or not a real gamer. It's like, are you creating a thing? Congrats, you're an artist. You're creative. Or, oh, you're playing a game of literally any sort? You're a gamer. Congratulations. If anyone else tells you otherwise, I'll smack them. Oh, I hate gatekeeping so much. I am a huge proponent of let people enjoy things. I don't have to understand it or enjoy it in the same way to let people enjoy a thing. That's fine. I am not the arbiter of taste and or anything, really. Good lord, no one is. The amount of specialized knowledge you'd need to actually be an arbiter of anything is no. No. But then you wouldn't have the ancillary knowledge to do it well, so therefore it's not possible. Ha! Saw a post on Tumblr once, a screenshot of someone such and such are real games and was a series listed was Mario. Wow. Like, usually it's the mobile stuff that gets put on there. Which is hilarious because some of those are the most, like, time-intensive games. I'm like, really? Because people have put way more time and effort into some of this stuff than a single game than ones that you've played, so what does that tell you? But again, you don't need to qualify it, is the point. I'm petty and stubborn and deadpan, so my, dang it, usual method of dealing with people trying to pull cred on me about things or insinuate I don't, or try to impress me, heavy air quote, with knowledge about things in a demeaning sort of manner, is usually to very, very purposefully and sometimes slightly subtly, sometimes not. I'm not very good at subtle. I'm as subtle as a brick wall most times. Um, but I'll just keep dropping like bits of really, really obscure knowledge or trivia, like real deep in the weeds stuff, into the conversation until they feel inadequate and stop talking to me. Works pretty well. Especially if the knowledge they're trying to impress me with is blatantly wrong. That drives me nuts. Incredible. Yeah, works pretty well. I most of the time that happens with either like video games or like Magic the Gathering, which I have a weird encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of it due to reasons. Um Mostly work. And every now and then I'll have someone like try to impress me with knowledge of rules or something like that, and whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. I'll just start dropping like casually into conversation like a weird deep lore thing or a bizarre interaction between some cards and why it works in the rules and that sort of thing. Usually works pretty well. Sort of holding up a mirror of, this is what you're doing to people. Except I know what I'm talking about. Again, I'm petty. I know this. I try to weaponize my pettiness for good when possible. Okay, so I need to... Oh, I haven't done that part yet, so I can't base it off of that. So I need to go over to... Oh, I have done this, though. Okay, that makes it easier. So I need to put that stitch here. I'll also be the first to be straight up about stuff that I don't have as much knowledge about, like cross-stitching. I know basic stuff. There's a ton of techniques and history there that, nope. I would find someone else to listen to about it, then I want to listen to it too, because hearing people talk about something that they're passionate and knowledgeable is just neat. I love it. This is how I have so much random knowledge for bizarre, miscellaneous things. Just having a question, looking far too deeply into it, or just listening to people talk about things they enjoy. It's great. Like, it doesn't matter if the subject interests me as long as you're giving me sufficient context to understand what you're talking about. Yeah, I want to hear about it. I think this is the last song. Sorry, I'm holding a needle in my mouth, which is a terrible habit. Especially when I have a needle minder I can put it onto. We made some good progress here. Probably 150, 200 stitches of the, like, lots. I was made with all the latest technology. Yeah, so we'll let the track run out here. I'm gonna see if this one right here is one that I have bobbinated, or if it's chilling in a skein. If it's chilling in a skein, well, either way, I can probably just take care of it. That's easier if it's bobbinated. Alright, what one is this? 3716. Consult the box of thread. I had to pick up some more plastic bobbins because they hold up nicely and I can Sharpie on them. What did I say I needed? This is why I... 3716. That is not very light, Dusty Rose. Consult the box of thread, yes. 3716. This color. It's a very pretty color. I think I bought it as a substitution for a project that... It was in an old magazine, like I had mentioned earlier, the big stash of magazines and books and stuff. That it was a two-part flower piece. There is a violet and a rose. And I couldn't get one of the colors, like the full range of the full color variegation. So I substituted it. But then I did the first one, the violet, and it turned out nice, but I did not have fun stitching it, so I decided I didn't want to do the second one. So, yeah. That's okay. Thread is one of those things that... Or floss is one of those things that I don't mind having extra colors around, because either I'll need them for something, or I can substitute them in for something. Or if I have a project that isn't really color dependent. In this case, I would have had to buy it for this one. Also, it's small. Well, I've got one of those big plastic, like, craft thing, almost fishing tote style containers full of floss that's almost full. From bags of floss I've gotten cheap at thrift stores, or just picking up colors as I needed them. What's nice about small sprite projects, too, is that usually I can just grab whatever's closest and it'll be fine. Especially if it's, like, 8-bit. Because it's not gonna have, like, subtle gradients. That was good timing. See, we got our little our little pink stitch. See if I can get a good shot of it here. This is how far we got today. Not bad for 3 hours. Especially considering that probably at least half an hour of it was wrangling tack. You can see we got... Woocha! I don't have a color printer, so I'll try to do an updated layout or overlay that has the preview of my square so people can see a full color version of what I am working on for next time. But with that, I'm going to pack up the cross-stitch. Thank you for hanging out. This was fun. I'm glad this worked out. I hope everyone had fun just hanging out with me while I'm stitching and listening to music. I'm gonna have some lunch, get a few things done around the house, and then I will be back in about 4 hours. Oh, hello! I hope you haven't just come in as I'm wrapping up, though. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome back, and wow, almost at a year. I've almost been an affiliate for a year. That's absurd. I'm just wrapping up. This is what we're working on. We did all of this today. Chilling and listening to music. But as I was saying, I'll be back in probably about 4 hours. And we'll be doing Arcade Spirits. We'll do a chapter of that. And then maybe we'll take on the Backpack Hero character again. We'll see. We'll see if my brain can handle it. I haven't played more of that character offline. But we'll play something. It'll be funsies. Regardless, thank you again so much. I appreciate all y'all. You're all awesome. Have a wonderful day. Believe me when I say that y'all are awesome. It's true. Hee hee. Okay. One of these days I'll set up hotkeys for these screens. There we go. That would be convenient. Okay, bye.